What's going on, YouTube? It is your senpai, the googly-eyed one, and today I'm bringing to you a TFT team comp that I have so lovingly named Dragon Tales. Now, this isn't the Dragon Tales that you might have grown up with as a kid, or you had to watch your younger sibling watch over and over and over and over and over until your eyes want to bleed because Mom said it's my turn on the TV. No, this is not that Dragon Tales. This Dragon Tales is faster, harder, more dangerous. This Dragon Tales is this.
Dragon Tales, it's almost time for Dragon Tales. Come along, take my hand, let's all go to Dragonland.
That was pretty intense, wasn't it? Yeah, that's what you're getting into when you play this team comp. So, now that I've tickled your intrigue, some of you may be wondering, but Senpai, what is Dragon Tales? That doesn't tell me anything. Really? But doesn't it? No. Realistically, Dragon Tales is what I've called a combination of Dragon Soul and Fabled. You mash them together and you get a team comp that I think is actually pretty good, all things considered. So, let's dive right into it, shall we? The big linchpins of Dragon Souls are obviously the Fabled and the Dragon Souls. So for Fabled, there's only 3 champions, but the one that we're going to focus on is Neeko. Now, Neeko is not a super popular champion right now that I'm seeing. I see people kind of play around with her. Most people think she's pretty bad. I think those people are wrong. Now, if you look to the screen, which you should already be looking at, I'll put up some information about her. The big thing is her special ability. Now, special ability is obviously when the mana bar fills up. Most characters, except for this Tom Kench over here, will fire off their special ability. Neeko's is Blooming Burst. Now, if you've ever actually played League of Legends, I believe this is her E or whatever, and what it does is she throws out this thing, lands on the ground, and then it pops 3 times. Now, if you look at the damage values, you might not be blown away at first, but you actually have to really think about how this works, right? If she's, say, a 2-star Neeko, her Blooming Burst is doing 300 damage every time it pops. That equals 900 damage. Then we get into the reason why I run her with Dragon Soul. Now, the reason I run her with Dragon Soul, and the only, or one of the few things that makes this comp kind of hard to put together, is the Mage's Hat. Now, what Mage's Hat does is you build it from a spatula and a tear, I believe. And what this does is this makes the person a mage. You might be wondering, why is that important? Well, Dragon Soul already has 2 mages, Brand and Aurelion Soul. Brand is pretty okay, and Aurelion Soul, if you've played any TFT, you see him everywhere. He needs no introduction. He does a ton of damage. The reason why you want to make Neeko a mage is because she'll make 3 mages along with Aurelion Soul and Brand. And when you have 3 mages, what that buff does is it gives you an increase to spell power. I think it's like 80% or 85%, which is nothing to sneeze at. That greatly increases the amount of damage that your special ability is going to be doing. But with Neeko, specifically, really benefits from the other part, which is they double cast their special ability, which means that they will straight up just throw the ability out twice. Now remember, at 2-star Neeko, if she throws her special ability in a decent spot, all 3 bursts are going to hit somebody, doing a total of 900 damage. Now, she double casts, which essentially doubles the damage. She's now doing 1800 damage. If you look at Neeko's health, her health is not super high. most people's will not be super high. 1800 damage, and that's not even including the 85% extra spell power that she gets from being a mage, which I'm no mathematician, but is more than 1800 damage. She starts to do a lot of damage. Also, if you look at the Fabled bonus, because you're gonna want the Fabled bonus, running Nautilus and Cho'Gath with her, the third explosion is empowered, doing extra damage. Now, for a 2-star Neeko, that's an extra 150 damage, which means that instead of 1800 damage, you're doing 1950. Add the spell power on top of it. She's starting to do some crazy damage. If you can get a 3-star Neeko, that you're going to explode someone's front line in no time. And if you get her, if the AI is acting correct, and you get her to throw it into the back line, boom. That back line's dead, regardless of how many stars they have. That back line just dies. Okay? 2 400 damage ticks and 600 damage, that's like 1400 damage. You double that, 2800 damage, outside of any spell power buffs or any crits that she might get. Crazy. As Freak would say, you're doing tons of damage. It's doing tons of damage. But allow me to stop gushing over Neeko, because there's 2 other champions that are going to be part of the Fabled bonus. The next one is Nautilus, and probably the first person or the first champion that you'll actually be picking up. With his ulti, it's okay. I think at like 2-star, which is what you'll realistically be getting Nautilus up to, it does like 450 damage, knocking someone up for a couple, I think like 4 seconds. And doing 450 damage, not bad. But with his Fabled bonus, he also reduces all incoming damage by 50% for 5 seconds. He is going to ulti and become a tanky boy. Very tanky boy. And this is going to make him excellent in the front line with some of the Dragon Soul characters, specifically Braum, who them 2 together are going to get the Vanguard buff, and the Vanguard buff gives all Vanguard units extra armor and extra magic resist. So you're going to have 2 very tanky boys up front. The final Fabled character, and low-key kind of my favorite out of the 3, even more so than Neeko and the ridiculous amount of damage she can do, is Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath is also kind of a beefy boy. His special is his Rupture, which would be like his Q if you've ever actually played him in League of Legends proper. If he has the Fabled bonus, now normally Cho'Gath would make like a circle, much like he does in League of Legends, and everyone inside the circle would get knocked up. However, with the Fabled bonus, he now knocks up the entire board. This means, regardless of positioning, unless someone has something like a Quicksilver Sash, which allows them to dodge incoming CC, everyone's getting knocked up. And he also does some respectable damage with said knockup. Funnily enough, if you can itemize them properly, you can really get going with Cho'Gath's knockup into Neeko's special, her Blooming Burst, to where like a second or 2 or 3 seconds into a fight, Cho'Gath knocks everybody up, Neeko drops her special, and before everyone lands, almost everyone's dead.
Gonna hit this big what's up. You know we've seen this a ton of times. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's there. Can the Dudley boys be on the verge of regaining?
At least on the front line. The back line might survive because the AI tends to favor throwing her Neeko's special ability where there's the largest clump of people, which will usually be someone's front line, but well, if you've played TFT enough, you know that the AI can be kind of wonky sometimes. So, you know, you'd have to, you know what I'm saying. You guys know what I'm saying. So, We've talked about the Fabled. We've talked about why you want to run Neeko with Dragon Soul. You may be wondering, well, who are the Dragon Soul champs that we want to run with them? And I'm glad you've asked that question, because I was going to answer it anyway, but I'm glad you asked. So in the early game, you're probably going to run like a Tristana, like you see me running now in the video. She's really good early game. I tend to not like her so much in the late game. Some people swear by her. Meh. However, outside of Tristana, you're obviously going to run every time Aurelion Sol and Brand. These two are the other kind of linchpins to this comp, because the 3 mage buff, in my opinion, is crucial. More so than any of the items that you can build, which obviously items are very important too. Having that mage buff is going to make everybody a lot better. And that goes for Aurelion Sol and Brand. Now, Aurelion Sol, most people already kind of know about Aurelion Sol. If not, I'll give you a quick rundown. His special ability is his ult proper in the game. It's going to shoot a giant laser beam across the board, hitting everybody in its way. This laser beam does hilarious amounts of damage, especially if you can get a 3-star Aurelion Sol, which I end up actually doing in this video. Spoiler alert, I recorded this video and did the audio later on, mostly because I recorded the video at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I have a tendency to kind of just record everything I play, considering was thinking about getting into YouTube, and now have obviously published my first video, or created, I don't know what the proper term is for I made video YouTube, hooray. However, because I decided I was going to do that, I tend to record kind of everything that I play. So I was recording this at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I had just woken up. I had no business being awake at that time. And so a lot of the audio for the video is just me kind of like heavily breathing into the mic while listening to a podcast in the background. And it was a mess. But I thought the video really showed off what I was trying to show you guys with the team comp. So I decided to use the video, do the audio later on. So sue me. Anyway, at Tier 3, which is the golden version if you get, 9 copies of a champion, Aurelion Sol is doing 1400 damage with his special. Now with the mage buff, obviously it double casts, so it's doing 2800 damage. That's hilarious. It's also hilarious when you pair it with Neeko, because when both of them ulti, essentially the enemy team just gets vaporized. They cease to exist and are all just dead. Outside of that, you have Brand. Brand is kind of just there to give you the mage buff, and he can do some respectable damage. His ultimate his special ability at 2-star does about 300 damage and will stun everybody in the dead center of it. So when he casts it, he's going to cast it on someone. The AoE will hit everybody, but the stun will only hit the person right dead center. Not bad CC. Damage is meh, and it double casts. So potentially you can stun 2 people and do about 600 damage worth. It's not bad, but really you keep him in the back line. Kind of protect the other 2. He's kind of like your tasty morsel before, like for any assassins diving into your backline. You kind of want to position your champs in a way so that Brand is the first one they kill, because if Brand dies, no offense Brand, but the team comp just kind of moves on without you. Outside of that, for other Dragon Souls, we run Braum. Braum's a Vanguard, along with Nautilus, who's also the Vanguard in the Fabled. They get the 2 Vanguard bonus, giving each of them 100 extra armor and 20 magic resist, just making them tankier boys. Also, when he ults, or uses his special ability, he puts his wall up, if you're familiar with his wall from League of Legends. And it reduces all incoming damage, as long as he's facing the right way, by 80% at 2-star. And 90% at 3-star, although the chances that you'll 3-star Braum, slim to none. Next up we have Olaf, he is a little more of a carry. In fact, he's your third carry. If I had to pick 2 or 3 carries for the team comp, it's Neeko, Aurelion Sol, and Olaf, which means they're going to be getting a lot of the items that you are going to be putting on people. You're going to be putting most of your items on those 3. His ability, when his mana bar fully fills up, and it only needs to fill up once, he gains a huge attack speed steroid. His attacks cleave in front of him, and he is immune to CC, which means don't be that guy that I've seen before who puts a Quicksilver Sash on Olaf. Please, it's completely useless. Other than him, you have Shyvana. Shyvana's another person. Once her special ability bar or her mana fills up, she activates her special ability, and it technically does have to refill, but she goes dragon form and it lasts a minute. Most fights in TFT do not last a minute, so she's going to be dragon form for the whole time. Dragon form gives her extra health, more attack damage, and her basic attacks become ranged and they do damage based off of her spell power. So if you have a really good Shyvana, you can also itemize her well. She's like a close 4th place in terms of people you're going to have to carry. She's like your close 4th place in terms of itemization and carrying. Now, on top of that, with this, I almost forgot to mention the last person. In the dream scenario, you're also going to run Swain. Swain is obviously really good. His special ability is that he does his ulti from League of Legends, gaining a ton of health, dealing a bunch of AoE damage around him, and applying grievous wounds. He's the final person you'd slot in, generally speaking. Now, the reason I say generally speaking is because, obviously, I haven't talked about your Chosen yet. Now, for people who aren't super familiar with TFT, any of my friends watching or anything like that who are more watching the video to help me out than actually because they want decent TFT content, what a Chosen does is you'll automatically get that champion at 2-star, which means there's 3 stages, obviously, and 2 stars, the middle stage, and generally where most of your champions are going to wind up. Your Chosen gives you a buff to one of the families they're in. So most champions are in 2 families, some are in 3. For instance, if you look at the video and say Annie is a fortune mage. A Chosen Annie can either have one or the other family kind of buffed, and what I mean by buffed is they get an extra point towards the bonuses. The bonuses come when you match up a bunch of people in the same family together. If you look to the left, I've got 6 Dragon Soul, 3 Mage, and 2 Sharpshooter. Generally speaking, there's kind of like 4 different Chosen you could run. You could run a Fabled Chosen of any of the Fabled characters. However, I would say if you're going to run a Fabled Chosen, it's going to be Cho'Gath or Neeko, because you're going to take the Nautilus out in that scenario. If it's a Dragon Soul Chosen, you technically only need 5 Dragon Soul to get the 6 Dragon Soul bonus. And what the Dragon Soul bonus does is it gives a blessing to people, which scales like 3 Dragon Soul, you get 1 blessing, 6 Dragon Soul, you get 2 blessings. And that's usually where you're going to aim, is 2 Dragon Soul. With the Dragon Soul bonus, the people who get the blessings are going to get increased attack speed, some other stuff. That's really cool. Attack speed and I think spell power. Yeah, it's attack speed and spell power. So, and they also get this like Dragon Soul blast that you might see where like the image of a dragon comes up, flares its wings, and blasts somebody. It does a percent of their maximum health and damage, So having 2 of those blessings out means 2 people every 5th attack are doing a bunch of max health, percent health damage to people. It's crazy. And so that's why you generally want to aim for 6 Dragon Soul. Now, if you get a Dragon Soul champion, or a Dragon Soul chosen rather, I would say in that case you could probably take out the Shyvana. Now, I say take out the Shyvana and not say like the Braum, because your damage is already kind of covered. I know I said that Shyvana could be like a close 4th in terms of carry potential, but generally speaking, you don't really need that. You still kind of want a couple of beefy boys up front to soak some damage, right? That's why Fable Chosen is probably the worst of them all, because you still kind of want Nautilus for his damage, or for his damage soaking potential. But if you get a Fabled Chosen Neeko, you can run with it. Dragon Soul is another really good one, because then you can take out the Shyvana, and in both of those cases, either the Nautilus or the Shyvana, you're taking them out and you're swapping them in for Shen. Shen's really nice because, along with Neeko being a Fabled and a Mystic character, you get the two Mystic bonus, which is going to give you increased magic resist, I believe, for the whole team. Yeah, you get plus 40 bonus magic resist, and that goes to the whole team, not just the Mystic champions. On top of that, Shen's also like one of the best frontliners. With his taunt special, allows him to taunt a bunch of champions, lock them down, and is really good at protecting your carries. The final chosen is probably the one I just talked about, which is if you can get a Mystic Neeko chosen. A Mystic Neeko chosen is probably the best, because not only can you keep the 6 Dragon Soul and the 3 Fabled characters that are in this build, but you also get the Mystic bonus, which means it's tough. I would say either the Dragon Soul or the Mystic chosen is really what you're aiming for. Alright, so now we've talked about champions, composition, and your chosen. Next we're going to talk about items. If you look at my board, I don't slam my items like I should. It's because I'm bad. Oh well. So, you may be thinking, what kind of items do I run here? Generally speaking, I like to be flexible with items. I know a lot of people, and this is probably true for higher elos, like once you get to like Master, Challenger, maybe even Diamond, it'll be really hard to play the right team comp without the items for the people that are on that comp that are going to need them. However, if you're playing in norms or you're playing low elo, I think the comp is fairly flexible. Generally speaking, for Neeko, the Mage's Hat is like the one item that I think is absolutely necessary. It's also the hardest item to get because spatulas are not something that you just get from your local corner store. They're rare and mean that you either need to get really lucky on carousel rounds or in your PvE rounds. Outside of that, for Neeko specifically, I would run either Jeweled Gauntlet, which is nice because it allows your special ability to crit. We already talked about how much damage that can do. Your special ability is now critting and gives you bonus critical strike damage. So when it critical strikes, I think a regular critical strike is maybe doubled. I don't know the actual like math behind it, like all the math. But it gives you 40% bonus critical strike damage, which means when it does crit, it's going to do even more damage. Outside of that, the Jeweled Gauntlet, I feel like that's like the one item that is absolutely necessary besides Mage's Hat to make Neeko function. A couple other items that can be really good on her. Blue buff is kind of nice. helps her get to her special faster, and after she specials, of course, it basically gives you a higher starting point for your mana. Hextech Gunblade is nice, gives you ability power, also lets you heal off of the damage you do. Ginsu's Rage Blade can be pretty good. It, every time you attack, like your basic attacks, fill up your mana bar, so you're getting attack speed, which you get a stacking bonus attack speed buff, which stacks infinitely, or until combat ends. So, the faster you're attacking, the faster your mana is filling up. And of course, that's always good. Luden's Echo can be kind of good, especially if you can pair it, like say, sometimes you can get really good timings on Cho'Gath and Neeko's special, because Luden's Echo, not only after it hits, or her special hits the first target, it'll bounce to nearby targets, which her special is already technically doing, so it's just adding to the amount of AoE damage that you're doing, which is always good. If they're crowd controlled, it does additional true damage. It does not say that the crowd control needs to come from the person using Luden's Echo. Now, obviously, it's better if the person using Luden's Echo is the one doing it, because, well, obviously, words. If you can reliably get that bonus true damage, being the champion doing it, bada bing, bada boom, it's good. Still think it can be good. Outside of that, any of those items can also go on to Aurelion Soul. Things I like to itemize for Aurelion Soul, because he's not the main carry, is Chalice of Power. Chalice of Power is a super popular item that essentially acts like a buffer. What it does is it'll gives characters to his right and left extra spell power for the rest of the combat, and the wearer. So, extra spell power, obviously on top of the damage. You could run that on Neeko if, say, your Aurelion Soul is a little stronger, and you want your Neeko to be the person buffing. You can do that too. That's not bad. Alright, let's talk about Olaf, because he's like the third carry, and any of the items I mentioned before can kind of work for Neeko or Aurelion Soul. A big thing about Olaf is anything with a BF sword or a recurve bow in it probably works fine on him. Deathblade is like his major one, because it gives him a stacking attack damage buff, or every time something dies, he gets a stack. Each stack gives him bonus attack damage, so obviously that's very good. I think Bloodthirster personally is kind of hilarious on him, because obviously being able to lifesteal and healing for the damage that his basic attacks do makes him kind of pseudo tanky, but also allows him to really stick in there. Hextech Gunblade could work. And I'm pretty sure the ability power affects the cleave cone that he does, so that's another healing item. I do kind of like healing items on him, or at least one healing item. Outside of that, anything recurve bow centric. Rapid fire cannon's nice because it extends his auto attack range, which means you don't waste time having the character walk around to get to their target. He can hit it from range, which is nice. Giant Slayer is very good because it's really good at chopping down tanky characters. So if the enemy's got a 3-star tank like a Nasus, or I've seen 3-star Maokai's for Elderwood, stuff like that, or if they're running 9 cultists and they get that gigantic Galio, Giant Slayer will be really good at chopping stuff like that down. Runan's Hurricane, he can benefit off of, even though he's melee, because this isn't actually League of Legends, so he'll hit nearby targets. What more do I say? You're doing extra damage by hitting extra targets. Last Whisper, also not bad, which is what he has right now. Critical strikes reduce the target's armor. and that's good because it helps him chop through the front line a lot faster. Outside of that, stuff like Infinity Edge is hilarious. So, you know, tons of damage, attack speed. Generally speaking, I like to balance between like 1 attack speed or 2 attack speed items and 1 BF sword item. Other items that you might have to make and just kind of throw them on your tanks. And anybody can really get this, get these items of your three frontliners, Braum, Nautilus, Cho'Gath. Personally, I like to throw them on Cho'Gath because Braum and Nautilus already get inherent damage reduction. Frozen Heart's funny, gets him to his special ability faster, helps him sync up with Neeko, reduces the attack speed of everyone around him, gives him armor. What more do I need to say? Makes him tanky. Locket of the Iron Solari is really good on any of them. Give your entire front line a shield. Sunfire Cape, I'm a huge fan of Sunfire Cape. Just the fact that everybody around the person with it will burn for true damage, and it's max health true damage, so it scales. Really good. Shroud of Stillness, obviously a really good item, especially if you are facing a lot of people who are running mage comps. Stops them from getting to their ulti faster. Super good. Warmogs, it's health. Make them tankier. That's basically it. Outside of that, most of the other items are like not super duper important. Things like Guardian's Angel can be good on any of your carries, mostly Neeko, because what it does is it allows her to throw out her ulti, have it pop a few times, she comes back, throws out her ulti again. Static Shiv can be kind of good on Neeko too. That's something I didn't mention earlier. Mostly because the electric chain, like when you attack and it hits somebody and then kind of zaps everybody around them, or like zaps additional targets, reduces their magic resist. Obviously, reducing someone's magic resist means that when she gets to her ultimate or special, she's going to blow people up. Outside of that, a lot of items, again, tanky items, you're going to throw on your 3 frontliners. BF Sword Recurve Bow items are going to go on Olaf and Shyvana, and AP stuff and mana stuff are going to go on your backline. So, that's pretty much the team comp. Closing notes, sometimes you'll have a hard time playing against people who play a lot of assassins. If you've been watching this video as I've been rambling on, you'll notice that the guy who built a bunch of assassins and has like a 3-star Zed has been absolutely destroying me. But all in all, I think you can still beat those assassin comps. And even though I'm only showing off this video, and a lot of you might be thinking, oh, well, he recorded 100 videos and they were all bad, and he only showed us the good one. That's not true. I've gotten a lot of like 4th, 3rd, and 2nd place finishes. This is just the one that I felt showed the comp off the best. So, if you like what you see, if you thought I was somewhat entertaining, like, comment, subscribe, you know, that whole spiel. And, you know, be good to yourself and to others. I'll catch you guys later.